Okay, we're back with more of the devil. Whenever they title things episodes, it's always hard for me to title the episode myself because this will be my episode 2, but we'll be playing episode 1 because the one we did initially was called episode 0. It's a pretty good game though. It's very similar to Phoenix Wright, but it doesn't annoy the shit out of me, which Phoenix Wright does. And I like the storytelling and I like the way they do the crime puzzles, so I'm excited to see how this next episode goes here. Nth Circle Studios. Cool setting too. Continue. I guess you just go to new case. You don't have to worry about like episode 1. Here we go. Audio balance, I'll check here. It's probably okay. Maybe need to turn it up a little bit. Turn it up a touch here. Play episode 1 in high roller mode. You're limited to 1 save slot. You won't be able to reload your saves while inside the courtroom. That's pretty cool. Time-sensitive choices. Testimony segments. Objectionable words or clauses become red when you prepare to call on them. Okay, that's cool. I probably will not use that since I assume it's not their intended difficulty mode. But that's cool that that exists. Just in case it tutorializes anything new. If I can remember how quickly it advances on auto. It's a little slow, so I'll probably just advance it myself. Whereabouts in yours? Right, yeah, the game has a lot of dynamic contrast, so let me turn it down a bit. Vandalism detected. It's funny. Super Cop has a new dent every time I see him. Line of duty.
Duty.
Individual instances of volatility may occur during the next 48 hours. $61. Coppers in every street corner. Chrome-plated palm. This is pretty good cyberpunk fiction. Ads. Cyberpunk is getting more rough as reality resembles it more and more over time. Can you imagine a hyper-capitalist dystopia? Yeah, I can. Really, really easily, actually. Nice. No sense of sarcasm, the poor bastards. The only happily employed class in human history. Idle mind. What's up? Desk personality setting 6, the cool one. Neither. You're a lawyer. Be patient or be explicit. Piss poor range. Do shit to any modder with insulation less than a few years old. I like that they give you the codex entries for certain words, but you can also just figure out what they mean from context. They don't like depend too heavily on the codex. Missed a limit over 30 meters. You have your own gun with the flip of the switch. The worst, most useless kind of weapon a criminal could buy. Sounds perfect. I don't know. Auto find would help me get stuff that's right. Stagnancy theory. Okay. At phosphoric corp and Cawthorn. Real name withheld. Moore's Law used to be the benchmark. Now it feels like a pipe dream. Yeah, no kidding. We're already there. Kicking the can of climate crisis down the road. Middle class, eaten alive by the rich they prop up, can no longer afford the very products they help create. Care comes from you taking action. The 12-6 work week gives us more free time than ever. Term limits are anti-democracy. The phrase warm androids is so fucked up too. Apartment micro flippers. Tetra the ransomware vulgarity. Okay. Lobo sees a cache of vital keystone data files. All 11 dominant languages. On grounds of journalistic integrity and due to the strong language. Definitely why we're not seeing the manifesto. De-escalation of all conflicts surrounding rare earth metal deposits around the equator. And their billing services. Acts of terror against the free market. Sounds like a great act of terror. Specifically said de-escalation. Okay. Same designer of the Turing solution. Dr. David Asher has passed. Nani? That's very sad. I didn't ask. Commands only. A real gun should always be heavy. Closer or further to the end, that's nice. Cool lighter. To the only smoker in my life. David, really? Copy paste the statements from Noble. Not even a time window. Jessica Starling. Supposed to express denial first. Kind of poison. A lot of weight to bludgeon the state with, especially in this city. It's just how people talk. Nice touch. I don't like showing up at crime scenes more often or more quickly than strictly necessary. No logical reason to agree to her request. Besides my own morbid curiosity. Nice. The fuck? I'm fine. Hey, Freckles. Rip. Thank you for trying to be sincere. We all have our strengths. Filial piety doesn't work on you. True, went the train. You're born muttering insults under your breath. Did you ever have dealings with Noble? 10 out of 10 shipped in the convo. Subtle as a car crash. Okay. Megs that own their likenesses. Gross. Stop. Hard worker. Corporate types are all a bunch of paranoid drug addicts. Being glued and playing roulette on their phones. Get whatever you're owed. Get out of there fast. Beautiful thought, Auntie. Corporations prefer Viking funerals. It's good. I work harder in one day than any of you Gen Alpha drunks did all week. literally fall asleep on the job at the Christmas party. What is it? What is that? How do you have that? Not even accurate. Still eating some spam. They do a great job of writing text dialogue. That headline. About having warm androids in the military. The company 4 years ago. Thursday afternoon. Not that kind of mess. Cops, lawyers, drones, and they're droning. Interesting. I wonder if she's gonna get framed for it. Lock you out of social media? Unless I'm on the clock. Or off the clock but on company property. Then they can remote all my tech. Died after he reached the hospital. Trouble if you get stuck in bureaucratic purgatory when you need to be in the emergency room, but other than that, if you reach the hospital alive, a good doctor can stabilize most any patient within a few moments. Yeah. Do you really like playing a Phoenix Wright-like game where the character we're following is really smart and figures things out before the player does in many cases? It has the opposite of the dramatic stupidity problem I keep complaining about in the Phoenix Wright games, where like they want to create a situation where the player feels smart for getting something before the characters do. Contents of his save. Handle it in person. I don't have anything to offer the living. I should know. And we're like 25 minutes into this, and we've already covered what would have been like probably 2 hours of material in a Phoenix Wright case. We've had a bunch of unnecessary investigation scenes. Work at Noble, rent from Noble. Wave hello to your noble neighbor. I was gonna say, what if they do have the company crematorium? The standard benefit is cheap for them compared to dental. Set for life and after. I really like the pacing on the, like, you know, Dexter, she's crazy sequences. They time them really well, they last just long enough. Capacity at the moment. I'll live. Don't be attracted to a cop. Little lady. Okay. It wasn't brought in until hours after Noble knew everything. Inclined to see a victim. Whatever happened wasn't cut and dry. When do the Megs play with you? penumbra system. Okay. Yeah, how many people have lost a job to an adder at least once in their career? Yeah, I was gonna say, they all lost their jobs because their bosses fired them. Good point. An escort? You doing all right, Jess? Protesters are worse brand loyalists. I was about, as soon as I saw brand loyalists, I was like, what, you mean like Elon Musk dick riders? There's this idiots led around by their nose their whole life, following the Musk of whatever trend is laid out before them each morning. They're like insects. Yeah. The misunderstood genius of Dr. David Asher. Okay, well, he's not an Elon Musk character like the one in Earth Must Die. And house. You want me to step out? It's not common to retrieve things from the premises while the cops are still searching them. Quite as a church house. Reasons quite as a church mouse, but... Interesting. Marble needs to be treated or indoor air will corrode it. I did not know that. No, I do not know the combination to David's basement vault. okay, we'll figure it out. Could have, he would have. Right then. Tactics basics. Six characters. Maybe I'll get lucky. $64 digits? I'm a lawyer, not a lockpick. Cool. That's clever. You said all the weights max does it look neat? Impressionist? Cubicle? Cubist, which is still incorrect. That's cute. It sounds right. It's not. Oh, can I know what it is already? I have to use I can't use a controller for this part. I'm allowed to back out of it. One hint I came across. Oh, maybe it's... from my phone. Let me check. Terms, Big Blue Painting. 11/25/58. Can try that. Hey, okay. Fuck? Well, that's weird. Clearly marked Android. Very cutting edge. Bleeding edge. Do you like the bit about them needing to have the visible barcode? And its GIN number. Thank you, autofind. Good point. Yes. Android basement or market. Collected it himself from a wine glass. It would have been easy. Interesting. Oh, I guess that was the only one I actually needed to search. Claws or 3-digit imitations. Tree-like shape is a neuron. Zero becomes a 1, all the other zeros around it. Take that into consideration. Cute. The analogy I read in a magazine anyway. Haven't seen one since college is interesting. Can always start hitting it. Only buying or selling one that's illegal. Fingerprints and DNA on file. Nose, lips, hand, chest. It'd be good to, like, I'm gonna guess lips. You have to kiss. No, I guess not. Okay. Gamoman. Long beat. Morning to you too. I like them having that as like lines from the script. That's cute. Father. Mostly correct. See you, Jess. Serra. That would be highly illegal. Having completed 500 hours of study at a state-approved massage therapy school. Monster like you even born. I guess I walked into that one. Even had the Turing solution. Yeah, every time I'm like, I might go look at that in the codex, and the normal game gives me the context I need to continue moving with it. I wouldn't mind reading through the codex, but I like that the story is written in a way that I don't have to. Not like fucking Final Fantasy 13. Occam's Razor. Here because my parents wanted me. That's what cops do. Do you litigate criminals? That's what prosecutors do. I don't think anyone does that anymore. Over 2 on answering simple questions. Good question. Water, carbohydrates, and salt. Got a heart? How quaint. Military grade. Okay. Interesting. If I shot you, would you die? It would be very painful. I'm surprised you noticed. Maybe it's not a weapon after all. Pincushion. Prototypes filled with experimental technologies to check for compatibility issues. That's cool. Singular unsellable android. It's a fun idea. Listen to you, obey your instructions. Finally, some good news. Adonai. That's a word you don't want to use. Yeah. Golem. I see him? Nope. I like doing the whole song and dance with 2 robots in one day. Let's go to commands only. I like they set that up earlier. Oh, does commands only not work on her? Yeah, nice touch to have you go to the gun store. It sounds like they accomplished a lot with that scene. Also setting up the commands only thing here not working. Is that an order? I'm curious to see how they're gonna manage this. You owed him a favor. One favor. The Thin Ice starts here, Spearmint. Would you take care of me? Consider that request null and void. Sell me to some collector. Cool. It's a good reason for Morgan to have to do it. These devs care about getting the motivation right, which is good. I don't know how big the team is making this, but it definitely seems like the lead writer is experienced as a writer and not just, you know, fucking around making a visual novel out of nowhere, you know? Lying to the police is a felony. I like that. Androids don't lie, they make errors. What kind of error did you have in mind? It's great. Uh-oh, it's my rival. The L to my light. Skipping past that. Even just skipping a scene like that shows a respect for the player's time that feels largely absent from Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright's like, oh my god, we have a chance to have a bunch of dialogue re-explaining something to someone who just showed up on the crime scene? Let's fucking go. That'll inflate the playtime, right? Which it feels like Capcom sees as desirable. I don't know who that is. Kaguya. The Amazon to me. I really liked the first scene with Emma in episode 0. That's convenient. Gonna have to contest that charge. It is technically a crime to commit suicide. They made it a felony. That's really fun. A serious conflict of interest to be your friend's defense attorney. Embarrassing, isn't it? Following explicit legal intent. In the case of any and all criminal charges brought against him by the state, his attorney would be Orton. That's funny. Your parents name you after a Christmas Carol? You'd be curtsying? It's cute. Yeah, I think the game's also not terribly self-indulgent, which is another problem I've encountered with like indie visual novel adjacent games. It'll do stuff like that for like 10 seconds, and it's like, okay, we can move on now, and it's great. You can indulge occasionally. I just hate when it's just like non-stop indulgement, right? I did like Aviary Attorney a lot, but I think that this game is much, much, much better than Aviary Attorney. It's a different take. Aviary Attorney kind of goes the route of, wouldn't it be interesting if you making mistakes led to a different conclusion to the story? Which is neat, but I think it almost borderline requires you to play it multiple times or follow a guide to know what the hell to do. I think this captures the spirit of Phoenix Wright a little bit better. Also having like a single linear story. Shares are being acquired by the government. You're not buying this, are you? You're not, it's a gamble, she said the thing. I'm really surprised the game is called Of the Devil and it doesn't have some more explicit gambling related title, poker title. It was supposed to be like Luck of the Devil, is that it? Okay. That didn't occur to me last episode. I was like in my head, like, it must actually be a gambling thing because it's such an important theme, right? It's a really cool set dressing for a story about a criminal attorney. They try to make the chess thing work for Edgeworth in the Miles Edgeworth games, and I mean, they barely follow it up, right? I'm not sure like her. Comes from being short. Cops are short. Now, I'm not going to be mad if Morgan was involved in the killing in some way, because they've set up the whole Dexter thing that, you know, she's a serial killer. But I hope they get at least one case through where she's just kind of doing her job, and this is kind of a cool thing that colors her character, right? Like a lot of indie devs would be tempted to have her just be responsible for every crime, which would get dull if it happened too much. Yo, something. What kind of person is that? Date expunged. Who are you again? This is the kid I was talking to via text in the first case. Name changes are only 2 pages of paperwork. Doesn't count as good news, it's just a thing you said. Parents, guardians, foster whatevers are all supposed to take care of you because it's the right thing to do. Lawyer always does what's best for you because that's how they get paid. Kerr. Crippling addiction to poor time management. Air Joden, vintage reps. Skip straight to the carrot portion of the routine. Self-motivation, self-actualization, self-help. Powell or Parker? It's funny that Morgan's okay with being called Adonai. That would be so uncomfortable for me. What you call God. Subject them to torture. Congrats, you're halfway to being a paralegal. It's funny. Emergency call was made shortly after 8 p.m. Artificial CPR. Declared dead. A few minutes are being taken to the emergency wing. Make an educated guess. I don't know what type of poison. They don't know either. Fast-acting deadly poison. Why is it you're only quick on the uptake when it suits you? Decriminalized and cataloged all recreational drugs. Using designer drugs with recreational drugs. The average designer drug was invented last week. That's really cute. More people die from ODs than ever before. I thought there would be an outline, like in the movies? Yeah, the arcs kind of makes me think of the weird Miles Edgeworth, like, great thief crime scene simulator thing that they introduce. It feels more appropriate in this setting, though. Someone was annoyed by that, so let me do that in a way that's not stupid. Spectrum auto tints. Rose River Whiskey. Okay. It is cute to give us the android girl as like you know, your crime scene partner, so you have someone to talk to. Your Watson. Inclusive means inconclusive. Oh. It's redacted. Whoever those prints belong to has a very proactive representation. The firm is being very considerate of the witness's privacy. Peanuts are an option, but I'm short on time. Okay. We do like our main character immediately guessing how they're going to get the answer. That might honestly be a big part of what drives me insane about Phoenix Wright, is that like I feel like crime fiction like this, like even if the player is meant to have some agency and figure stuff out, like the person you're following has to be smart. It just isn't interesting to follow somebody who's a dummy. And Phoenix Wright's definitely kind of a dummy. He only gets to be smart when the player takes over temporarily, right? And Miles Edgeworth is supposed to be smart, but he also kind of behaves like a dummy, or always has a dummy that's acting as his proxy around him. I guess there's two ways to do it. Either the person who's doing the crime scene investigation has to be a fucking super genius, has to be a Sherlock, or they have to be Columbo, right? Like, Columbo plays dumb, and the whole point is that everybody underestimates him. I'd love to play a Columbo video game. I still haven't really encountered that yet. Where, like, it has... You're not solving the crime. You're just, like, needling the fuck out of the person who did it. Or just annoying them. I think you could make it work. Columbo's like a vengeance demon, or like a fey creature, right? Like a justice fairy, justice gremlin. Who torments the guilty rich. Unidentified foreign substance. So reading work emails. From Android Blood saves soldier's life. Yes, the one we heard about earlier. No other competitor's product could. Down, he'll be dead. Those are shot in the arm, the noble stock prices and market share. Neglecting our duty as politicians.
Duty.
They always get you to try to log in at the end. It's funny. Marked as priority. I think they're talking about the military contract, right? Because they said they're trying it out. Military contract. It specifically says that. be pink oxidizing fluid being spilled all over the globe. It should just be a game, right? Like... Wow, a robot that's good at chess. We had to put you in a museum. Too fair. The smarter player wins every time. And that's something you take fault with? I like that a lot. So another thing I like about this character is I think she's a pretty unique take on this sort of, like, detective-type character. She's obviously not a detective, she's a defense attorney, but... You get so many different flavors of super detective, right? Pitching one as a gambler who does a good job at bluffing is cool, I think. Drink a glass of poison, would you be sitting or standing? Interesting. Scrape the witness's face off the pick first. A good cook, but only for others. Most if he had a guess, he'd happily eat instant ramen and protein bars for all 3 meals, or 2 or 1. Caduceus' executive plan 4 isn't like most people. I think they made some jokes about, like, offering great health insurance as, like, a prize. I think that was in episode 0. The salt. Acting so fast, I went between video frames. Should go frame by frame to prove your theory. Too much salt spills on your food, it'll make you gag. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. What a great feature. Half 100 noble megs have all called dibs. I need your payment information. How bad can it be? Art with a bullet hole. That's me. Would that freak have a symbol or a following? Think Heartbreak's an android? It's a nice way to tie this into the case. Deniable ops. What a great name. First 6 HK got you were the 6 prototypes that came before him. Warm android so perfect no one could tell the difference. Just a murderer. For some reasons, we're committing murder better than others. It's cool. We can get Serra's take on Heartbreak Killer. You never have to take responsibility for what they are. Just a serial killer. I'm good at mental math. You counted the leap years. Death was in 18 months of the Blakeford industrial disaster. All those deaths, there wasn't anything evil about it, just human error, shoddy welding in time. Yeah. Very, social murder rate. We have prosecutors' badges? I have an ID for the parking garage. That feels like a Phoenix Wright joke. Tell that to your clients? No, sometimes we are. Emma's an interesting character. She's a good antagonist for our main character. This is very Death Note, this sequence here. Yeah. You see it coming, but it's good. Nice. It's cute. And that Bridezilla texts you. Turn your phone off. Caduceus Executive 3, more expensive than David's. Here's the golden rule. Wrong. Treat others how they would want to be treated. Wanted someone he could vent to. That's a really good line there. How can you know how another person wants to be treated? It's always a gamble. Not a comforting sentiment. Well, I think it's fun. Observation and practice. You must have been observing and practicing for a long time then. I like Serra as a Watson. She's great. She also has a lot of narrative utility for later. If we ever need to, like, super jump somewhere or break something open, it's really heavy, right? And a lot of, like, Sherlock-inspired fiction makes the Watson too much of an idiot. Yumi. Okay. You can't just ask someone that. Hospital's getting renamed. Create family. Better known for drawing blood than donating it. Involvement with organized crime. Renogen Medical. Neobility. Mid-21st century and the Red Decade. Want to drop your payment info in the... That's the end of every article in this chapter. It's really funny. Well, it sounded like they're just trying to get a new image, right? I didn't see anything that makes healthcare monopoly make sense. Yeah, it's got to be new image. Okay. Oh, I wish. Testers want to blame the mod for failing. Mod makers want to blame the Civ for not exercising enough. Climate change-induced complications. Improved climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death? Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean? Plus or minus 14% of the life insurance payout. What's up? Early gens all look flushed like they were running a fever and they ran like it too. I guess it usually tells me if I'm making a choice versus if it's getting both pieces of information. Respiratory failure. Lightheadedness, dizziness, headache, slurred speech. Didn't have any kind of biomes. Okay. Talk screen. Nothing on the talk screen. Doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound. In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm. Expected to protect your own research aggressively. Patent furs find a use later, yeah. Using international IP law as your own personal minefield. In addition to being good crime fiction, this is great cyberpunk fiction. Imagine it's getting easier and easier to write cyberpunk. General depressants. $20 milligrams. Not for medicine. Shouldn't be a problem. I think I like those better than the ones where it plays the like creepy music, where it just shows you the script. Why was I created and not be capable? Could be a skill issue. The distinction of significance to the dead at the very least. It's a good line. Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio. You have your cigarette backwards. That's good. She feels something. Presents are rare in the designer drug scene. Corporate territory. Will fall. And live off the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful. Great. I think this episode is even better written than the first one, and the first one was really impressive. Probably count on like one, maybe two hands, the number of games that are written this well, right? Like, it just isn't an overlapping skill of a lot of people who want to get into making games. I think 1000 times resist or 1000x resist, however you pronounce it, definitely in that category. Disco Elysium, obviously. Usually just because they've got people on staff who are writers first, right? Did I interrupt your brooding? Our online presence is not significant. So I'm preparing for law school. Business ethics. He was the one who asked the most questions. Cram for an undergraduate midterm? Founder types in at board time management when they're 21. Pocketed some breath mints from the common room. That's funny. B+, I think. You stole and lied to him. I stole and lied for him. David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. One of his advisors came up with that title. Talk to me about whatever was stuck in his head. I would nod until he wore himself out. You know the conversation, you'd thank me. Quality over quantity. Simple and elegant, anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. Intelligence as a service. That's private. I have zero interest in talking about it with you. Say you understand. They're really good at, like, dangling things to you, too. Make sure that as you're learning new things and, like, you know, collapsing wave functions, that new wave functions are springing into existence for you to ponder about. Interchangeable fractals. Folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the skill of their hubris, they need to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. That's good. Does everyone work on Saturdays? But again, the company as if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? Can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that? You live in company dorms, work in company quarters, the logo is above your head, you eat, sleep, and breathe a noble's timetable. Must feel big enough to be the only capital C company there is. So they did a good job with one of my favorite, like, kind of cheesy things to say in a novel. If you're reading fiction and someone says something and a character's like, they could hear the capital letters. I've seen it in so many different books. Yeah, okay. That's me. Evan Dawes. As if it's a proper noun. In the building. Down the hall or half a day's hike. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests. It's gonna piss me off. Okay. The factory floor refrigerated. Let's clean so the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. Only somewhat rotting, slowly. .0s are real skin with synthetic muscles, a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just great. Digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Look like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns. Mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. It's cool. Synthetic analog serotonin. Interesting. Wonder if that's gonna come up later. Yeah, the blood towards the end. The oxidants? It isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, pink. Chromofuge removes the byproducts. The excess pigment. Okay. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of the blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against his face, no one bats an eye. It's great. I spent a good, like, probably the entire first quarter of episode 0 not being sure about whether I was gonna like this, but now that I'm sold on it, like, I can just enjoy it. It's great. I like when an artist can earn my trust like that. I can kind of let my guard down a little bit, you know. Not a purge. Printer. Raw materials are cheap, literally elementary. Must be time consuming. Distilled nectar swimming with nanites. What a relief. Okay. Sullivan's Peak. Influenced by the Uncanny Valley. Estimated dependence. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys. We like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living, like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. There are deep, deep trenches between those two ends where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. Becoming clear that the space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected. Not be the only part of the map sphere. To the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan. Described a concept called Sullivan's Peak. The uncanny valley has a peak on the other side, a point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable. Once you reach Sullivan's Peak, traveling further only has diminishing returns. Soon reach a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable. A hard stopping point. That's really cool. If you got to sign in. I don't think they'd be passing it around if they're dismissive of it, right? It makes me think they're actively thinking about it. Oh, I didn't get to... Oh, no, I guess that was right. Okay. Tesseract. All products created are programmed in tests. Easy to read and write. Stay compliant. In the idea phases. Calling it a pincushion's a really cool idea. Great, like, sci-fi noun. Hack its own tenets? That seems bad. That's unthinkable, literally. Stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. People do walk into traffic. Well, no, there aren't crazy androids. Most cars would depend on the center of gravity. So a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Oh, like, what, Ed 209 or whatever from RoboCop? Who worked on it and when? Editing logs have been purged. Can't answer that question with any accuracy. Dawes is very helpful. Oven, gross. Nope. Serra will do fine. Be like an angel, I'm guessing, with her coat and insistence on calling me Adonai. I'm guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Used to be they only had 3 tenants total, and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents, the first lawsuits, the hearings, the legislature, the demand for more tenants. Then making sure ads couldn't endanger the state, ads wouldn't divulge private information. I love to just say they started with 3, and just leave it to you. Like, we're gonna be smart about that. There's a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There's a campaign calling for it to do the opposite. Never much incentive to deny a tenant, so the list just ballooned. Something you don't approve. Armies are using tech with bare minimum tenants. All the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Like I was on the jury. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and sent a new president. Every other army around the world would race to meet. Choose your own checklist. That's really funny. That was a great little conversation. This game is very efficient, and I love efficient dialogue. You can have a game that's got a lot of dialogue as long as it's efficient. It brings me a lot of joy. It's something that really stands out to me about Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is a huge game, ton of text, but every conversation rules so hard. Brevity is not one of my gifts at all. And I hate that about myself, but I could respect it in others when they have that talent. Spoke like he did. Like I copied his accent. You mirrored his affect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It's just an observation. She's a great Watson. Throwing me in the slammer. People get arrested, property gets seized and then smashed. Lin Young. I feel like I'm nowhere near finishing here. Unless if it's like going to end extremely abruptly, so I might start trying to look for a natural stopping point. Phoenix Lecter. That's good. This game's really good. It's even better in this chapter than it was in episode 0. Incredibly well written. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? Let's see. You can let her sue. I always like this time of day. Not too buggy. The sky gets more colorful every year and the air quality drops. Yeah, it's great. There's a lot to praise about this game. I'm also really impressed that it doesn't feel that Capcom pressure that I complain about all the time in Phoenix Wright games, that it's like it needs to commit to a very specific cadence of gameplay versus story. If it's like, well, there's no reason to have you be searching the room or interrogating people, you're just not going to. We're just going to do story until it makes sense for there to be gameplay. I hate that about Phoenix Wright. I hate that it feels like there's like this mandate from corporate that every 40 minutes we have to do something video gamey. It's like, just do it when it makes sense and you would have less annoying, pointless shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. No, there's a part earlier this stream where we had to like bring a new character up to speed on something we'd already covered, and it just faded to black and said a couple minutes later, right? It's like Phoenix Wright would never do that. they would relitigate it for the new character to get more hours on the playtime clock. And hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. And an intense discussion. A firm reply. She stayed on camera. I assume Sarah's gonna stick around past this because it's like too good to have this devil motif for our main character and then have her Watson be an angel. That's great, right? It's the kind of thing that's like, it's super fucking on the nose, and if it wasn't written well, it would be awful and cringe. But this game like easily clears the cringe threshold where it's just cool now and I can just enjoy it. You know what I mean? Okay, a lot of questions to ask here. Counter corporate espionage, which is just double speak for corporate espionage. Leadership workshop, psychiatric evaluation. Train you to expect to get murdered? Murder is fairly rare. That's clever. That was really funny. I really liked her thinking it and then Sarah saying it, but saying that it's bad. Okay. The cups. Inexperienced and overpaid. You don't mince words. Interesting. Like that being written in green and then swapping to blue. It's cute. Ceremony. Balance implies the twos are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony. Was he in harmony? No. Draft a lot of apology notes for misunderstandings and double bookings. Pets? You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s. Just a figure of speech. Hmm. That's my plan. It's like, it's great because Phoenix Wright, especially the Edgeworth games, show a like complete lack of interest in explaining why our prosecutor is doing defense attorney work, right? Or why our defense attorney is proactively acting like a cop, essentially. And here, this idea that, like, well, the reason she's defending him is because it's a felony to commit suicide in this cyberpunk society, and that he Well, I guess she had Sarah lie to claim that I was appointed as the attorney after death. But it's like it's a great character beat and it's a great like setting beat, right? It's not just saying, yeah, she's just gonna do this because that's what we want to do. It's like, no, that's an actual like narrative problem that I'd like to solve, and maybe I can like make the world more interesting in the process, right? It shows like a curiosity about their own problem that I appreciate. I'm sure there are other comparably well-written like crime visual novels out there, but like playing this after having only really experienced Phoenix Wright and I guess arguably Aviary Attorney, um, it's like going from eating Cheetos to like having a really, really nice steak and not having anything in between, right? Speed walking. Junjiao. Out of shape? No. I feel like Cheetos to a really nice steak isn't even a fair comparison. It's like dog food to a really nice steak. Can't be mean to Phoenix Wright enough. You're shy. No law against it. Ultraviolets. Completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Catch the killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you POS. Lame. Everyone's a corporate sellout. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's a really good architect. That's almost sweet, I think. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand or something. You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. Code with the assumption you'll always be connected. Look it up. Cubes for robotics and machinery. They had to operate in mines under the ocean. How rugged? Older than dirt from like the 40s. Big. droid food? There is no such product. Never hydroponic avocados. Not paying for any of that. Look around more. Tablet interview. Exclusive sit down with luxury. Most beautiful woman in the world. Who are you wearing, by the way? If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house. Be bratty, act spoiled, keeps you young. 18 to 29, now and forever. Log in below so you can read the rest. Quickly, time is running out. Powerless or powerful? Well... Oh, can I not double check it now? Shoot. I hit escape. Oh, there it goes. Tension, setting the stock market into a spin. Yeah, I don't think we're being poetic here. We're being pretty literal. Yeah, okay. That's the line they wanted me to pay attention to. Play it cool, play it straight. I think I should have not tried to play her game earlier when I said, I should have just spoken first and been, because I feel like her whole thing is that she's very upfront in situations like this. Run from work. Defense attorney. I guess maybe I should have done cool because I didn't get credits. Not streaming any data. Oh, hey, Darkstar, did you have a stopping point in mind? Because I don't think we're going to finish the case in 40 minutes unless it like really abruptly ends here. I've just been trying to look for one now. Okay. Yeah, I tried to double check how long to beat, but the submissions are garbage for this game because a lot of them are only submitting for episode 0, or they are maybe submitting for everything and nobody left notes, so... It ticked me off. That was all I called to tell him. Woof. Hey, Saphira, how you doing? Discography is very impressive. Doing all right. Yep. Yeah. Agree with Porter. He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model. An early 21st century, not that. Why'd you talk to him? That's gonna make me kind of sad that like a lot of future fiction is gonna have to distance itself from this fucking garbage, right? Like, no, not that fucking shit. Actual old school sci-fi AI, not the shit tech that sucks. Oh, thanks, Vera. Appreciate that. No worries. Goddamn savant. Yeah. We really shouldn't have let those motherfuckers get away with just calling things. Like, oh, it's a hoverboard. It's fully self-driving. Like, we should have shut that shit down, because now they're gonna get away with it being called AI forever. I think they're gonna have to develop a new sci-fi term that means, no, not that dumb fucking bullshit. You goddamn idiots. What killed David Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Inhaled it. It did show us the inhaler earlier. I'm trying to either set up the lady with the inhaler as a deliberate red herring there, or start to make us think about it, right? They're very precise with the number of times you use that inhaler. Make sure you noticed it. Minus 10 points. Better. 5 points. Turns like 360 degrees, you're just back to. Oh, is it that other thing that I need the long-ass password for? Yeah, they've been really great with that. I feel like I love the news articles because I think the news articles are cool because they do world building, but they also dodge a very video game specific problem in doing a crime story. That's I think Roger Ebert talked about this too, the economy of characters problem, where it's like, well, you're only going to tell me stuff that matters for the case, right? And if you only tell me stuff that matters for the case, then the whole case is going to be super obvious. So having the like little articles lying around is like can plant little red herrings all over the place that can still be interesting. They like serve a purpose. They set up the setting, right? There might be something lying around that's not important to the case. It's much more important than even in a movie, I think, to spend time on that so the player doesn't catch wise like, oh, you spent so much time on that it must be important. But this console got a quick throwaway mention. No, let's do the one that only has a short password that only requires 6 characters. It's good. It's illegal and unnecessary. I'm excited to see if the inhaler is going to be the big key or if it's like totally there to throw you off. Okay. I'm just piloting a frame. You want 8:10 local time. That man was all muscle. Sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall. Oh, thank you, Darkstar. Appreciate that. Pretty cool. If anyone got a gift sub and is interested in sub perk, shoot me a whisper. But yeah, thanks a ton, Darkstar. It's very cool. Personality. You're super awesome. Thanks. Appreciate that. Every single word you just said was false. Isn't that a plot of a movie? Yeah. That's funny. Meeting or an encounter? Stag and the tiger. That's cool. technically. My life savings at this subject will never come up again. It's great. It's like I just said that if Phoenix Wright is dog food, this game is a really, really well cooked steak. Door never opens as long as I was hibernating. Door only I can open. 6-character password, numbers or letters. Like her name, for instance. No. Yeah, I can't think of anything else it could be. It's nice to only make it 6 here. We could try it. 6 characters, isn't it? Oh, it's not exactly secure, Adonai. That's cool that it gave me something for the wrong answer, and then basically told me the answer in italics. Nickname? Everyone just called me Morgan, but not everyone. Yeah, that's smart. What was the password? I don't know. You'd never guess. It's cute. I wonder if they're like really, really obvious with it if you just type in random crap. Not even in the blueprints. Don't want to miss me. This because of a discovery technicality. The memory's flawless. It can play like visuals, sound sensations, and give detailed reports on air particulates. Okay, that's gonna come up. Visits here frequently. That's funny. Yeah. Try double clicking. How much time would that be? 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. Yeah, that's fair. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. That's a good line. That's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Okay, very convenient. Birth certificates. Those phone books you see in period pieces. Employment contracts. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of ownership of the Android-designated Serra. This is gonna be a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying, all colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. Nice. Okay, so if we're going to the courtroom now, I guess when I get there, that'll be a good stopping point. Maybe like a movie where the good guys save the day. Like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart. Characters and their stories have a beginning, middle, and end. It's cool. Do you like movies? Yeah, sure, when I was a kid. Interesting. Okay, so future Marstead. I don't know how best to like prepare you on the case details. I guess we look at the phone evidence. Yeah, so basically your friend is this like tech guy who is basically responsible for the current generation of warm androids, and he died in what appeared to be a suicide, but pretty sure it's not a suicide. He left an android to you. You'll probably remember her. She's, if you're the devil, she's an angel, but it's actually written really well. It's not hack shit. It's good. You're now getting into the trial part, so this is your first time you're going to have to review. I would just, whenever you're being asked a question, just go ahead and review the evidence in your phone is probably the best way to do it, just like with Phoenix Wright. The only thing that really stands out to me that might come up later is they made a note that maybe the way the poison got into the guy's bloodstream is through inhaling it as opposed to like taking a pill or something. And they did early on show us a character who was like his assistant who is constantly using an inhaler. Now that's either they very deliberately called attention to it a lot. So they're either trying to make you think that she's the red herring, right? Maybe that's going to be the first part of the trial, is that we're going to think that it's her and then find out that it's not her. Or it's actually going to be her all along and they were just clever about dropping it in there and moving on pretty quickly. This game rules, though. It's really, really good. Like I said, it's on a very short list of games that are incredibly well written, and not like well written for video games. Which there's a lot of games that are in that separate pile, well written for a video game. It's written well, even if it was just like, you know, a murder mystery novel, cyberpunk novel. And I'm enjoying it, and I trust this developer now. It's crossed what I could only describe as the indie cringe threshold, right? It's not even just indie games. Like any artist, there's a level of lack of craft, lack of competency where they could try something like, oh my God, there's this serial killer detective, defense attorney. And her Watson to her Sherlock is an angel, and like, oh my god, that's so awful. But here it's really fucking good. So once it passes that threshold and you can trust the artist, they can do a lot more. They can do things that might be a little bit self-indulgent in another piece of work. And here it just works for me, and I'm along for the ride, and I'm excited to see more of it. So we'll resume with the rest of episode 1, I assume, next time. I don't know how long this runs, but it's flying by right now. Like I said, it's very efficiently written. If it ends up being as long as a typical Phoenix Wright case, it will be much denser than a typical Phoenix Wright case, because I don't think there's been a wasted word so far. So yeah, looking forward to playing more of it.